Hello, my wonderful third graders. I hope you're having a fantastic day. We are still talking about European exploration of North America, and today we're going to learn about a guy named John Cabot. Some vocabulary you'll hear in the read aloud. Circumference is the distance around the widest part of a round shape. Commodity is a good or service that can be bought and sold, often delivered by shipment. Embark is to get on a ship, airplane, or other vehicle and begin a journey, to start a journey. Geometry is the mathematical study of shapes, lines, and surfaces. Merchandise, goods that are bought and sold. Navigational, related to the process of finding a way around a place or to a destination. Profits, money made in business after all expenses or costs are subtracted. In today's Read Aloud, you'll learn about John Cabot, an explorer who, like Columbus, was searching for a shorter route to Asia. Unlike Columbus, however, Cabot thought he could travel to Asia using a shorter route than Columbus used. Cabot used his knowledge of the shape of the earth and lines of latitude and longitude to find a shorter route. Lines of latitude are the imaginary lines drawn horizontally on the globe that help explorers stay on course and continue in the directions they want to sail. The name of the line of latitude that is located at the widest part of Earth, or around the middle, is called the equator. So horizontal latitude means it's going from side to side, from east to west, the lines of latitude. And they're not actually there. There's not a bunch of lines on the earth. It is just placed there by map makers and people who are navigating things so they can specifically say where a point is on earth and find it. Longitude lines are the lines, imaginary long lines that run north and south. They run vertically around the globe. So you can see the lines on here. You can see the longitude lines. They're going up and down, and then the latitude lines that are going side to side. If you notice, the latitude lines are flat lines and the longitude and evenly spaced from one another, while the longitude are different. The lines of longitude are closer together near the poles of the Earth and spaced farther apart near the equator. Sailors use lines of latitude to determine how far north or south they are from the equator. They use longitude to tell how far east or west they are from the prime meridian. The prime meridian is the first line of longitude, and it goes through Greenwich, England. Here's a short mnemonic device to better illustrate the difference between longitude and latitude. Lines of longitude go up and down, and lines of latitude go round and round. Longitude is long, and latitude is flat. Earlier, you learned about Christopher Columbus, an Italian explorer who sailed to represent Spain's interest. Today, you will learn about John Cabot, another Italian explorer who sailed to represent England's interest. We know very little about the early years of Cabot's life. Historians believe that he was born in Genoa, Italy, the same birthplace as Christopher Columbus. He was also born about the same time as Columbus. In his early years, John Cabot was known by his Italian name, Giovanni Caboto. He lived for many years in the Italian city of Venice, where he worked as a merchant and a sailor. Do you remember what a merchant is? Somebody who sells goods. His work in Venice led him to travel along the coasts and countries in the eastern Mediterranean Sea, where he further developed his navigational skills. As a merchant, he began to think that he could obtain spices more quickly and cheaply by finding a westward water route that would take him to the east. In 1493, Cabot and many Europeans learned that Christopher Columbus had an idea very similar to Cabot's, finding a water route to Asia by traveling west. After several years in Venice, Cabot relocated to Bristol, England in 1495. Shortly thereafter, Cabot took steps to embark on a voyage of his own, but one that was slightly different from Columbus's. So you can see Italy is over here. Remember, we talked about Rome a lot. When we talked about the Romans, they were in Italy. It's this boot. And then England is right up here. It's part of United Kingdom in these countries here. Cabot had a simple idea. He knew the Earth was spherical, and he knew that one of the properties of a sphere is that the distance around it is greatest in the middle, or at its circumference, and less on the top or bottom. If you apply this basic geometry to the Earth, it means that the circumference of the Earth is greatest at the equator, and is significantly less north or south of the equator. So it's not as round, or it's not as long around the top and bottom as it is in the middle. Think about a ball that you're looking at. If you apply this basic geometry to the Earth, it means that the circumference of the Earth is greatest at the equator and is significantly less north or south of the equator. Think about a basketball. The circumference of a basketball, or the distance around it, if you measure in the very middle, is 30 inches. The distance around the same ball, if you measure at a point closer to the top, is only 15 inches. Cabot thought Columbus had made a strategic mistake in his attempts to sail to the East Indies. Columbus had sailed in the middle latitudes, close to the equator, where the distances would be longest. Cabot thought he could get to the East Indies faster by sailing at a more northerly latitude, where the distances would be shorter. He proposed heading north, hoping to find a northwest passage to Asia in the East Indies. Interesting idea. Cabot tried to find sponsors and investors to support his voyage to find the Northwest Passage. In 1496, Henry VII, the King of England, decided to sponsor Cabot. Merchants in Bristol helped support the voyage as well. Henry VII gave Cabot permission to explore and claim unknown lands for England. Cabot was also encouraged to bring any merchandise he acquired back to Bristol, England. Cabot was told he would enjoy a great share of the trade profit if the voyage was successful. You heard earlier that a merchant is someone who buys and sells goods. Based on that, what do you think merchandise is? Merchandise is the goods that they sell. Cabot attempted 3 voyages across the Atlantic. The first voyage attempt from Bristol, England was not a success. Cabot and his men encountered terrible weather and ran short on supplies. In addition, Cabot had some disagreements with his crew regarding his route. With all the misfortune that took place at the onset of the voyage, Cabot eventually decided to turn around and sail back to Bristol. Cabot's second voyage was more successful. Again, he had only one ship. It was a small ship called the Matthew, with a crew of just 18 men. Cabot and his men set sail from Bristol in May of 1497. They sailed past Ireland and across the Atlantic. On June 24th, they sighted land. Historians think Cabot made landfall somewhere in the area of southern Labrador, Newfoundland, or Cape Breton Island in present-day Canada, but the exact location is not known for certain. So you can see his route for his first and second voyage on this map. Cabot did not spend much time on land. It appears that he and his men got off the ship only once and did not wander inland more than a few hundred feet. They did not encounter any Native Americans but found signs of their settlement. Cabot claimed the land for England, collected some fresh water, and got back on board his ship. Cabot and his men spent time exploring the coast of the area now known as the Cabot Strait, a channel 60 miles wide between northern Cape Breton Island and southwestern Newfoundland. On their exploration of the coast, Cabot and his crew discovered some very good fishing grounds. As far as we know, Cabot was the first European to set foot in this part of North America since the Vikings had arrived around the year AD 1000. Here is a map of Canada where he went, and you can see the red part, which is the Cabot Strait. So it's a channel, a sailable route that connects two large bodies of water. Remember, the Vikings went to Newfoundland. Cabot returned to England and went to visit King Henry VII, certain that he had explored the northeast coast of Asia. He reported to the king that he discovered wonderful land in a place with a good climate. He mentioned the superb fishing grounds, of which England could make great use. This discovery made King Henry VII very happy because at the time of Cabot's voyage, fish was a very expensive commodity. Seeing that his discoveries were welcome, Cabot decided to return to the land he explored and sail until he reached another land in Asia full of spices and riches, the land that today is called Japan. In February 1498, he received permission from King Henry VII to embark on another voyage. Very little is known of this third voyage. Historians don't know for sure, but this voyage probably involved around 200 men and maybe 5 ships. Unfortunately, when Cabot and his expedition set off, one of his ships became damaged and the whole fleet had to stop in Ireland due to severe storms. Cabot was supposedly not heard from again, and some historians think he even died on that voyage. Other historians think that he returned from his voyage and lived in London for a short time until approximately 1500. There's little evidence about this voyage or the whereabouts of Cabot after the voyage, so historians can't really be sure of its outcome. John Cabot was like Christopher Columbus in many ways. Both men were born in Genoa, Italy. Both men convinced foreign kings to sponsor their explorations. Both men attempted to sail to the East Indies and ended up finding something else altogether. Cabot's explorations proved very important for England. His attempts to find a northwest passage to the East Indies failed, but finding and claiming land on the continent of North America instead were essential for England to later establish British colonies. In this portrait, you can see John Cabot is wearing the clothing from the town where he had lived a long time, Venice. Why were European kings and queens interested in exploring the Arctic Ocean and areas to the west of Europe? To find shorter and faster water routes to Asia and to gain merchandise. How did John Cabot gain his good navigational skills? By sailing along the coasts of countries in the eastern Mediterranean Sea, Cabot also had an understanding of the laws of geometry and understood what circumference means. What is the circumference of a sphere or a ball-shaped object? It's the widest part, the middle of the object. What are latitude and longitude? The lines of latitude are the imaginary lines drawn horizontally on the globe, and the lines of longitude are the imaginary long lines that run north to south around the globe. Latitude and longitude help explorers stay on course or continue in the direction they want to sail. Based on his navigational skills and knowledge of geometry, Cabot believed Christopher Columbus had made a mistake in planning his voyage. What did Cabot think was the mistake Columbus had made? Cabot thought that by sailing near the circumference of the earth, Columbus made the voyage longer than it had to be. Cabot had an idea for how to get to the East Indies faster than Columbus. What was Cabot's idea? To sail farther north where the distance would be shorter. What was the name of the route to the East Indies for which Cabot was searching? The Northwest Passage. What valuable commodity did Cabot find in his travels? Fish. Although Cabot, like Christopher Columbus, did not reach Asia, he did find a part of North America that had not had European visitors for a very long time, since the Viking Age. What part of North America did Cabot find on his expedition? Labrador, Newfoundland, and Cape Breton Island in present-day Canada. Compare and contrast John Cabot and Christopher Columbus. Make sure you have a good answer to this because you will be doing this question with partners during our afternoon wrap-up. So I would suggest you maybe take some notes in your notebook about this. In what ways were John Cabot and Christopher Columbus similar? Both men were born in Genoa, Italy. Both decided to sail west in search of lands to the east. Both had their voyages sponsored by foreign kings. Both thought they found the land they sought, but actually did not. And both made more than one journey across the Atlantic. What ways were John Cabot and Christopher Columbus different from one another? Columbus's voyage was sponsored by Spain, whereas Cabot's was sponsored by England. Columbus traveled west near the equator, whereas Cabot sailed much further north to find a northwest passage. Columbus tried to establish a fort with settlers, whereas Cabot only explored the coast of the land and then returned to England. Our word for today is navigational. In the read aloud you heard, his work in Venice led him to travel along the coast of countries in the eastern Mediterranean Sea, where he further developed his navigational skills. Say the word navigational. When something is described as navigational, it has to do with finding a way around a place or to a destination. The navigational device in our car has a voice, and it gives my dad directions when we type in an address. Have you ever used a compass or GPS as a navigational tool? Don't forget to do your expedition log about John Cabot. Make sure that you answer everything in complete sentence, restating the question, and do your best on it, please. So, why did John Cabot sail? He was looking for a shorter route to Asia. For which country did John Cabot sail? He sailed for England. What areas did John Cabot explore? John Cabot explored present-day Canada, places like Newfoundland, Labrador. Describe the land the people encountered and the resources found. Well, John Cabot barely got off the boat. Only for a few hundred yards did he get off the boat. He saw evidence of Native Americans, but he didn't actually see any. And a resource that they found that was really important was fish. Hopefully that helps you when you fill this out.